offering us help?
I don't know what it is, but I know it isn't planks and boards. And I may be the only person in the world that can say that, coming from both the science and the fact that I watched one happen. There were no planks and boards. You can throw that idea out. There are people who make them, yes. There are people go in the fields and amuse themselves. They didn't make the one that I saw happen, and they haven't made these others that we've been testing.
Nancy Talbot is not just one of the most well-known crop circle researchers in the world. She's also one of the few that claims to have seen the phenomenon in action at close hand. In 2001, she visited Robert van der Broeke in Holland, a young man who had also said that he had observed the creation of many crop circles. As she was on her way to bed on the second floor of Robert's house, something suddenly happened.
Seconds, minutes later, this tube of light, this brilliant, about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 foot diameter tube of light came crashing down right in front of those windows. Scared the dickens out of me. I mean, it lit up the field outside like daylight, but there wasn't really time to do anything. It only lasted for a second or so. No noise, no smell, no electromagnetic response in the skin, just this brilliant light and enormous force. It stopped, it disappeared. Did that really happen, you know? Before you had time to think about it, another one, same place. Well, whomp, this thing comes down. Exactly the same. The outside lit up like daytime, the inside lights up. And now I'm thinking, God, I hope Robert's seeing the same thing, because you don't want to see this sort of thing all by yourself. Before I could get on a bed, by then I'm starting to get on a bed, and had begun, to yell for him. A third tube came crashing down. Well, by this time, he's halfway up the stairs yelling for me because he's been watching exactly the same thing from downstairs. Now, from my vantage point, the windows, although very high, cut this tube of light off, at a certain point. He was right next to the windows downstairs and could see considerably farther up in the sky. Neither of us saw anything in the sky from which these tubes of light could possibly have come. There was nothing up there. We went to the windows in the bedroom, looked up, saw nothing, went running downstairs we're getting ready to go out. And I was a little scared. I'm not brave. I thought, if another one of those things comes, I don't want to be underneath it. But Robert, he got brave and he stepped down and nothing happened to him. So I grabbed a flashlight and we went right to the fence, which is about 85, 90 feet behind the house. And there in that field, right on the other side of that fence, and I think I saw steam. I'm not positive. I couldn't really tell because I was just holding a flashlight. But I think I saw steam rising. And there was a brand new crop circle. And it wasn't just a circle. It was an ellipse, as a matter of fact, a very distinct ellipse with a long pathway going off on the northern end and a crossbar, like a capital letter T. And Robert and I it wasn't there earlier. We'd been right there earlier in the evening. And there it was.
Nancy and Robert's experience can only be confirmed by themselves, even though it was clear that there was a pattern in the field of sweet peas the day after. Were they really witnesses to the phenomenon that creates all the genuine crop circles? Or was it just one of many variations of the phenomenon? Are there many different players of both normal and paranormal origin in the fields?
Now, you've got to remember also that there are so-called man-made designs out there, but at the same point in time, I've come across them where I've gone in a few hours after they've arrived, and I found additions, and I've looked at it, and then I've spoken to some of them afterwards. They claim that they did it, and I said, okay, well, you did that, fine, let's see the evidence. And they produce all sorts of evidence, and then I'll say, okay, now what about this bit? They say, oh, we didn't do that bit. I said, well, if you didn't do it, who did? I said, we don't know. But it's human arrogance to think that we're the only intelligent life forms in the universe. There are others out there that have abilities way beyond what we're capable of doing. Now, just because we can't see it doesn't mean to say it isn't there.
If you sit out here in this field, especially for a night maybe, spend a whole night in this circle, in this geometric pattern, which at this time is a complete mystery, you can sit here and you can ask your own fundamental questions, and there's no need for TV or culture, religion. It's like a it's like a personal little church for a night, and you know, it's actually very healthy, and it certainly should be looked at very seriously before being ridiculed. Usually the ridicule is stemming from fear rather than fact.
Personally, I think the message of the crop circles is really important, and I think they are one of the most important things happening on the planet at the moment. I think they speak of Earth changes. I think they speak about changes about human evolution. I think we're being stimulated and pulled forward to consider all kinds of possibilities for the fact that the reality which we perceive at the moment is not in fact the entire reality at all.
It is entirely our free choice to give attention to these things. If they wanted to interfere, they would knock out our computers and our electronics and things like that to really give us a shock. You know, but they're not. They're doing it in the middle of fields, and it is entirely our choice to give these things attention. And even when that's the case, they're not giving any really clear answers. They're saying, form your own conclusions. What are your ideas on this? How do you respond to this? And so they're not interfering. They're more like very enlightened grown-ups working with kids. And you know, and when you're teaching a child, it's best not to say, don't do this and do that. You know, that doesn't really educate a child. It's much better to give a child educational opportunities where they can become aware of the situation and make their own choices. You know, and you've got to set up that experience in a way where the child will figure it out well for themselves, and that is a real education.
Each year you get people saying they're all man-made, they must be a hoax, but equally there's people who refuse to accept that and say, no, this is something which must be investigated more, it's very important. And so what we've found with the crop circles is it has created a whole forum for debate over the nature of reality. There's been nothing like it in modern history, and this whole adventure about arguing between the skeptics and the believers has created this magical space in the middle where we can discuss anything about what the universe is, and all because of these strange patterns appearing in the fields. But we don't actually know where they come from.
One of the finest, most beautiful and original art forms of modern times, still totally mysterious. Is this a process of advanced communication? Or a course of re-education, beginning with the symbols of sacred knowledge and wisdom?
Is the truth to be found up there? Or maybe down there? Or inside us? Or maybe besides us in another dimension? Anyway, it's going to be very interesting to see where this is going to take us.